Hey guys, this is Joshua Seth, voice of Tai on Digimon, and you're listening to Anime Secrets.
Toku Secrets is a podcast run by the Anime Secrets website. Check us out at animesecrets.org for more anime, video game, tokusatsu content. Remember to follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts today.
Oh, yes! This is Goldar, and you're listening to Toku Secrets Podcast. Don't tune us out, tune us in.
Welcome to Toku Secrets. Join us as we journey into the marvelous world of Super Sentai, Kamen Rider, Power Rangers, and many other tokusatsu. Get ready for the adventure of a lifetime. It's Morphin time! Link to the Morphin. I'm Nathan Desai, the dazzling adventurer, Smokin' Silver.
I'm Patrick Allen, I'm Shinken Red.
And I'm Rizwan Merchant, Gokai Red.
And I'm Anthony Davis, also known as Curie Green. And we're Toku Secrets.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Toku Secrets podcast presented by animesecrets.org. And today we are going to be doing our last little podcast on Boonboomger as we're playing catch up. Technically, there's one more episode that's aired, but we'll just handle that in the next batch. Today we are catching up completely with Boonboomger as we take a look at Bakuage's 24 through 30. Last time we did everything up till 23. So, yeah, we will be officially largely caught up with the series once we get this one done. So, yeah, we're definitely going to have a lot of fun today, especially with a lot of the things that happened in these episodes. So, yeah, we got a lot more episodes than we usually cover, so we better jump right in. To kind of talk about some things that happened last time. Not much in terms of story happened, but we did get a new power-up for Taya. He got this new weapon that Boon created for him, inspired from a childhood drawing, where he can now transform into a firefighter-themed version of himself called Boon Red 119. And he also got a new vehicle as part of his power-up called Boon Boon Rescue Leo. It's a firefighter. It's a fire truck, like mech, with two separate components. And it can also transform into a lion version of itself, which kind of a strange mech. But, yeah, we weren't a huge fan of that. But you could just check the next podcast to the previous podcast to see what we thought about that. So with that said, let's jump right in. We're going to start off with Bakuage 24, the song I Want to Deliver, which this is a pretty standard episode. Nothing big happens here. It's mostly just about Taya and Sakito being targeted by the latest Hashirian, and he traps them in dreams that show them alternative versions of their childhoods. That's all that happens there. No other major plot developments. But yeah, what do we think about this one, guys?
This episode was kind of sad.
It was very fascinating to see how their childhoods could have been different. But yeah, like Patrick said, largely very sad and in my feels about it.
Yeah.
And it seems like the more we delve into Taya's youth, the more it's more fascinating to see how he is now, because it looks like he's gone through a lot of stuff, but he came out of it more, I guess, hopeful than the circumstances he grew up in. And it's an interesting way to tell his backstory through these little snippets, scattered around episodes.
Yeah, definitely. And then in typical Riz fashion, as part of the Sentai stock market, them stocks be rising.
Yeah, for sure. Like, it's cool he was mostly just, him being an introverted kid. He had no friends growing up. So, yeah, I'm kind of intrigued to see if we'll get even more revelations of his backstory, because it's kind of interesting to see that he was the exact opposite of what he is now when he was a kid.
I feel like this is jumping the gun quite a bit, but I feel like when we get that Tokuser cameo in the next batch that we're gonna do, that might be a good spot to give Taya some more background, because I know Patrick doesn't know Tokuser too well, but I feel like the childhood stuff that those kids went through is something that Taya might be able to relate with pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But are they going to show the okay, they're not bringing back all 5 Tokugers, but I know that they're bringing back Red. Are they going to show him in his adult form, or is he going to show up as a kid?
Stay tuned next time, kids, for Bakuage Sentai Boonboomger, because I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Question. Wait. Has anyone seen the Tokuger special when they were already adults?
I don't think I've seen that, no.
I don't know if I have. I think after Tokuger, we did our review on this podcast in the very beginning. I don't think I touched anything Tokuger related after, because I was in that weird phase where I didn't really think Tokuger was worth watching anything more of. But
yeah,
okay.
I do want to revisit
I
again.
just looked it up. Okay, I just looked it up. The year that it takes place when they are all adults is 2025.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
Oh.
So
Then
they
that
should
might make
already be
sense.
adults by now.
Okay, yeah.
Well,
Because the last time I remember us seeing the Tokugers in the main canon, and again, there's been a bunch of other Sentai since this, so maybe I'm wrong, but I do know that they made like a quick 2-second cameo in the Gokaiger Ju-Oger team up episode where Guy is meeting them as kids, and you don't see their faces. He's just begging them for their Ranger keys, and then he gets them, and they're just in it for like 2 seconds, but still.
Yeah. But canonically, they should be of age right now, just a year younger.
Yeah, that makes sense because it's been like over 10 years since. Oh my God, it's been over 10 years since Tokuger came out.
I
I'm
know,
getting so
like,
old.
good lord.
okay, you do realize that means that we've had Toku Secrets podcast for over 10 years.
Yeah, for sure.
Are we
Use
old?
the Saving Fire Ryan meme. Aging.
Aging does not compute. Please help.
But going back to what we were originally saying, yeah, it's cool that, I don't know, I feel like him meeting Wright will probably create an even more interesting dynamic than what we saw with Sosuke. Which, don't get me wrong, the Sosuke team up episode was great, but I'm kind of looking more forward to seeing how encountering Wright will have an effect on the series.
Well, okay, so this is what I think of it. I think the Sosuke episode was great in that we got some nice fan service, but I don't think it was as meaningful as what I'm expecting to see with Tokyo Red.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why I feel that, but I feel like when we see Tokyo Red, we're going to get something more meaningful.
Yeah, I'm expecting that.
Oh,
But,
can we also just say how I'm really liking our new Sixth Ranger? Because when he was dealing with the fact that, he was in that stuck in that dream world, and his friend who he thought was his friend in the world he was in was telling him like, "Oh, you don't need to go out into space. You can stay here with me." And he's like, "My friend wouldn't say that. Go somewhere."
I'll save what I want to say about Sakuto until the next episode, because he has a moment that I need to talk about.
The only other thing I'll note about this is that I love the mecha fight where the monster's using red lights against the mechs and it stops them and Boom Boom can't fight, but then they say, "What? But we can use Boom Boom Rescue Leo because firefighters don't have to obey traffic lights." That was a pretty funny moment.
Power Rangers joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what do we want to give this one out of 10, guys?
9.
Yeah.
I'll give it 9.
Yeah, for sure. 9 is good too for me. Okay, let's move on to a Bakuage 25 6-wheel fireworks, which this is kind of a mid-season climax episode. It's all about the Boonboomgers fighting Cannonborg. Basically, Cannonborg is angry that the 3 stooge generals, they're called the Sand Cedars, by the way. We haven't called them that before, but that's apparently what they're called. They're constantly comparing him to Mad Rex, and he thinks Mad Rex is a moron, so Cannonborg decides he's going to prove he's the smartest and strongest, and he summons this ultimate weapon called the Jackie Hoi Hoi to harness gasoline from Earth's orbit. And while the Boonboomgers are trying to go after him, Sakito corners him, and Cannonborg tries to make a deal with Sakito, saying, "Hey, if you don't kill me, you can join me and we'll defeat the leader of the Hashirians together and we can rule the universe." But Sakito is all like, "No, I kind of like these Boonboomgers as my friends, so yeah, I'm not going to help you." And then they combine all their Boom Boom cars to form this kind of mech, we can talk about that in a little bit, called Boon Boon Full Throttle Edition. And they destroy Cannonborg. They send him flying into the Jackie Hoi Hoi, and they destroy both the ultimate weapon and Cannonborg. And yeah, that's what happens here. What do we think about this one, guys?
I just want to throw out a thing that Jackie Hoi Hoi sounds like a very bad ice cream sundae. But
That's true.
You know what it reminded me of, Patrick?
What?
You know how you always say hui hui?
Yeah, hui hui hui. Yeah, it does sound like that.
Yeah, it sounds like that to me.
Jackie,
but the thing I wanted to bring up about this episode first was Sakito, when he was fighting Cannonborg, openly admitting that he enjoyed the company of the Boonboomgers was kind of shocking to me, because he didn't sound like, he never came off as somebody who would proudly admit that he liked people. So hearing him go on this proudful admission that the Boonboomgers were people that he enjoyed being with was a pretty big character moment from him. I know who knows if it'll mean anything in the long run, but just for him to have that moment at all was really, really good.
I mean, I could tell he was like really liking them, and
he wasn't somebody who looked like he would, admit it. You could see him like show like little like subtle signs of it, but for him to just outright say it like that.
Yeah, that was a nice moment for him. I think this is a good spot, honestly, for that to even happen. Because whenever that happened, I started thinking, okay, is this an appropriate amount of time from his debut for his arc to go from being kind of like this aloof guy on the sidelines of the team to fully immersing himself in the middle of everything and saying he loves the Boonboomger team or likes them or attached to them or whatever you want to say. And I think the pacing actually worked out pretty well here for this as I looked at it more.
Mm-hmm. The one thing I want to say, and maybe you guys disagree, and that's fine, but I think that this was great for Sakito's development, but the issue I have here is that this is obviously meant to be kind of like the mid-season climax that we get, and I just kind of, it feels a little too light for me. Like, it doesn't feel as heavy as it needs to be. And like, when we talk about like some of the best mid-season climaxes, I'm talking like the Gokaigers team up with the Hurricanegers, or Takeru's big two-parter fight with Juzo in the middle of the season. Here, this episode does play out like a mid-season climax, like our heroes are looking forward to some special occasion. One of our heroes is looking forward to it in particular. And then this villain has a big plan and they win. and they're able to stop it through determination. But I don't know, maybe if this was a 2-part episode and we got a little bit more, like one more episode to kind of give a little bit more build up to Sakito's moment, this would have worked a little bit better for me. It doesn't feel as heavy to me as it probably should.
I get it and I agree with it, but I think the bigger impact is Cannonborg being now removed from the story transitions us into something a little bit more, I guess, dark that we're going to talk about here in the next few episodes.
Yeah.
This is more
And that's
like,
fair.
This episode comes off more like the end of the kind of like happy-go-lucky Boonboomger that we've grown accustomed to.
I think that's fair.
And
I can agree with that.
To expand off of Patrick, I understand why you think this might be I don't know if you would use the word lackluster, Nate, for mid-season like finale, but I think this was actually very fitting for Boonboomger. Now, if you got something like this and something like Shinkenzer or Ngokaizer even, I don't think it would have hit as well, but because we as the audience kind of walked into this thing kind of expecting it to be lighthearted, parody, fun, I'm not upset about it.
No.
Yeah, I wasn't upset about it either. Just felt maybe a little disappointed, but it's still a very good episode.
Yeah.
I just kind of wish that maybe we got one more episode to kind of build up to it. But at the same time, I've kind of warmed up to it a little bit more now after I've heard what Patrick is saying, because it is kind of marking the beginning of like a more lighthearted era for the Boonboomgers.
Yeah.
So that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And even with the darkness that's coming in episode 26 onward, we still have a good bit of the lightheartedness mixed in with the dark in a way that works really well for the season as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I just want to preface that before we hit that.
Yeah.
Because I don't want that to get lost in our discussion later on.
And one little note before we get to the breakdown thing. Remember last time when I talked about the three-seaters, how it looked like they were on the verge of, betraying them? Well, look at this. They set Cannonborg up to fail. They got sick of his crap. I knew that these three were going to do something.
Oh yeah.
I knew I was going to like them, but we're going to talk more about that.
Oh no, they have a much better episode later.
Look, when we get to the episode 30, we're going to talk about these three, and we're going to, But Nate, let's move on.
Also, what do you guys think of that Boonboomger like full throttle edition thing? Just
it reminded me a lot of what was the Kyoryuger's final combination? With the giant
Kyoryuger?
with the giant like laser cannon that Bragigas had.
I'm trying to think.
You know what I'm saying? It's just a giant railgun. Like it's nothing like super cool like Samurai Hao or G12 or whatever, but I don't know. I just think giant rail cannons are cool.
I mean, it feels more reminiscent of the Dai Tinku Buster from Shinkenger, where they combine the Eco Origami with the Dai Tinku.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But it's still way too early for the final combination anyway, so we'll probably see something more ridiculous in like 20 episodes from now.
Yeah, I didn't really care about it. Like, it wasn't bad, it wasn't great. It was kind of there.
Yeah.
Like, cool.
It might be one of the more forgettable. I guess technically this is the combination with the 6th Rangers mech, so this is probably one of the more forgettable ones. I still don't think it's as bad as Goju Gokai-O, but still.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
I forgot Goju Gokai-O was even a thing.
Because it only appeared in 2 episodes.
Yeah, that was pretty lazy, actually, now that I think about it.
Yeah.
But what do we want to give 25 out of 10, guys?
I'm gonna go with a 8.5.
I'm gonna give it an 8.
I'm giving it a
I'm gonna
9.
give it 8 too.
I'm giving it a 9 just because Sakito's moment was really good. I liked it a
Yeah.
lot.
All right, let's. Anthony, you gonna give it?
I gave it an 8.
Okay.
Okay.
You must
Cool.
not have heard me.
All right, now we're going to move on to Bakuage 26, which kind of begins a big story arc here. Bakuage 26 is called Secrets of the Universe, where so Taya's out on a mission. Most of this episode revolves around Shirabe talking to her superior. Her superior's name is Eiichiro Tokoyari, about the Boonboomgers. We're given all the backstory about on each of the Boonboomgers, all 5 of them, and they're also, and the Boonboomgers have to fight against a revived monster that we saw in a previous episode, that toilet Hashirian monster. And then at the end of this episode, the package that Taya was delivering, it gets stolen by a new mysterious Hashiran. And the episode ends as Genba immediately recognizes this guy and gets all angry and attacks him. We'll talk about what exactly he's attacking this guy over in a little bit. But what do we think about this one, guys?
I don't think we can really talk about this episode without
You need
having
27. You need 27.
Yeah, you need 27 to talk about this episode. So I'm not really going to say anything about this episode other than the toilet Hashirian using a plunger as a weapon. A+, 10 out of 10 episode.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just found that hilarious.
I'm not going to go with a 10 out of 10 for this. I'm going to go with a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I want to give it a 9.
I'm joking mostly, but the plunger weapon is hilarious.
And I just love how Ishu was like, "Oh no, I'm gonna hit the toilet water again. I have to confess my deepest, darkest secrets again," and nothing happens.
I know everybody's like, they're just splashing with regular water this time. Like, the fight had no reason being that funny.
Plus, the other thing I like is that this is meant to be a calm before the storm type of episode, and it's kind of recapping the series, but they don't go into like a straight up clip show. Instead, it's all about Shirabe just kind of saying, here's who each of the Boonboomgers are, which, ironically enough, you know, what she says about Genba will end up having some impact in the next episode.
Also, where'd you get the Boonboonger Robo toy from?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Like, where did you get that?
But yeah, I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I think it's an 8 because it's not an episode that you can really watch on its own because, like you said, it's a setup episode. So,
Yeah.
But it does set up really well.
Yeah.
So I'll give it 8 too.
I'm going to go with an 8.5.
Yep. Okay, now let's move on to the big stuff. Bakuage 27, not an easy choice, where we learn a bit more about Genba's backstory in this episode. So when Genba attacks the Hashirian, he introduces himself. His name is Disrace, the Hashirian's rebuild commander. And while they're in the middle of the fight, Genba starts to undergo this mysterious transformation as we find out that he's not human. And we then find out that Genba's real name is actually Genbard D. Delivery II. Oh my god, that's such a terrible pun of a name, but whatever.
It just now hit me what his name is supposed to be a play
Did it
off
really
of.
just hit you right now?
Yeah, because when I was reading the subtitles, I didn't really think to say it out and decipher what it was actually saying. And then when Nathan said it
immediately.
When Nathan just said it there, it hit me. I was like, oh.
It hit me when I first watched it. I was like, "Whoa, wait a minute! Did
Yeah,
not see that
I
coming."
didn't really pay attention to the pronunciation of his last name until just now.
Yeah,
That's terrible.
it is. It's like in that second. It's like in that second Space Jam movie. How Don Cheadle's character's name is Al G Rhythm. Like, oh, ha ha, yeah, his name is a pun on what he's supposed to be. Good God.
Yeah.
Uh, but anyway, so Genba is the former prince of a planet called Bureki. It was a merchant world that Disrace attacked and took over. And Genba escaped his world and he arrived on Earth, and that's where he encountered Taya. And he used his spare parts from his ship to help repair his car. And ever since then, he's been basically as Taya's little provider of parts. He's been scavenging his parts and modifying them in order to give Taya everything that he needs. And he's able to disguise himself as a human by eating sugar, because throughout the series we see him eating lollipops. By eating sugar, he's able to hide his true form. So,
Can I interrupt you real quick, Nate? The fact that there was a plot with the lollipops, that I love that.
That
I
blew my
didn't
mind
expect it,
away.
and I love it. God, that's amazing.
and the way that this episode ends is that Genba. So after the Boom Boomers help defeat the latest of the monsters, Genba vows that he's going to take down this race by himself, but he doesn't want the other Boom Boomers to get wrapped up in his personal quest for vengeance. So he steps down from the team, and that's how the episode ends. What do we think about this one, guys?
I'm gonna make a couple of quick comments here. One, this episode title is very apt for what we're talking about here, because that was not an easy choice for Genba to make, and it was not an easy thing for us to watch as the viewers, because it hit
That
me
was rough.
hard, man. Like seeing Genba and what he went through and what he has to go through now, and even what the Boom Boomers have to go through with losing Genba. This is all very heavy stuff to me. My other fun comment is Baraki, a massive merchant world. No relation to me, by the way.
Haha. Okay, cool.
I have
That's
to mention that.
That's the second time you've made a joke like that on the podcast, Chris.
I don't care. It's worth it.
Shame.
Okay,
Shame.
okay.
Shame.
My third comment. I feel like Anthony may understand this better than you two, but I might be surprised. But Anthony, when you saw Genba transform into his normal self, did you get Naruto vibes?
You know what? I actually did, because there was the whiskers on his cheeks and the hair. And even when he transformed, it looked very like his aura kind of would look orange, kind of like the chakra, right?
Yeah.
What was it called? His nine tail form or whatever?
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah. It did look like that a little bit. I'll give you that.
I stopped watching Naruto around 40 episodes into Shippuden.
Oh yeah, that's when it stopped being good.
Yeah, I just couldn't deal with it anymore.
Stop being good.
I heard it gets good again later, but I don't want to deal with it.
It gets good later, and then it stops, and then it gets good again later, then it stops, and then the ending is just bleh. So I wouldn't even try it.
I watched the first Naruto season, all 200 and something episodes, filler and all. I tried to go through Shippuden, and I was like, nope, I'm done. Bye. If you want to know why I stopped, you can ask me on our Discord, because I will tell you why, but I'm not going to say it here. There's a certain scene that happened that pissed me off. And I was like, nope. Yes. There's a scene that pissed me off.
I gotta know now. I have to ask you when we get done with this.
Yeah, because I genuinely it pissed me off so much that I cold turkey quit watching Naruto after that.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't do that very often. But anyway, back to
go on to
Boom
this.
Boomger.
I have to say that honestly, this twist, in my opinion, I I want to say that it's almost, if not on par with the Rackless twist we got last time. Because here's the thing, this is a twist that I never would have seen coming, but it makes perfect sense. And what I really love about it is that it does come out of nowhere and it's properly set up, but you never would have imagined that was the case, because I don't think it was until the previous episode that we really started to question, where is Genba getting all this stuff? And I just kind of assumed, okay, maybe he's like just. I mean, we've had characters who could just do things because in Sentai before, so I've just assumed that Genba's just one of those like I don't know, maybe some Tony Stark esque genius who's just able to, get all this stuff. But no, they laid the groundwork, if just a little subtly, and then just completely let the hammer drop on us out of nowhere. Like it is a
Um,
perfectly earned and well established plot twist, in my opinion.
I I had some suspicions about him because this season has done a really good job of not jamming everything about a character's backstory down on us at once. Outside of Sakito, of course, because they needed to apart with his the Sixth Ranger introduction arc.
Yeah.
But Genba was the only character that had been neglected, and it was a very like subtle thing because like I said, they've been sprinkling stuff about everybody out throughout the season, so you probably would never have caught on to the fact that he was the only one that didn't have anything, and it hit me like during the last set of episodes when we were talking about um Ishiro's aquarium episode, but I didn't really make a note of it because I didn't really want to bring it up, but it kind of made me believe that there was something more to him than we were being led on to believe. So I'm not totally shocked at this reveal. I'm more so shocked as to what the reveal was. I didn't
Yeah.
think he was going to be an alien. And to be perfectly
Me
honest
neither.
with you, I'm not totally sure how much I like him being an alien. I like the reveal of there being something more to him. I just don't know if I like the alien angle.
So so feeding off of Patrick, this is why I noticed that there's not a focus episode for Genba as well, but I didn't mention anything last time because I knew that there is something huge coming in Dispatch from Reddit. A lot of different people were talking about the Genba reveal. I didn't look into what the reveal was because I wanted to be surprised, and boy, was I surprised. The alien thing, I actually don't mind.
I liked it.
Mainly because this is a Sentai where we're dealing with aliens, because the main protagonist's best friend is an alien. And the
Yeah.
Sixth Ranger's best friend is also an alien. And, I mean, obviously every Sentai team fights some variation on an alien or mutant or something, so whatever, but...
And I think it meshes well with the story that we've established too, where, okay, maybe the Hashirians aren't on the level of, like, say, the Zanyak from Gokaiger, where they've taken over most of the galaxy except Earth, but they're still a force to be reckoned with. Like, they're not some evil empire, but they're a very powerful mafia that's like taking control, that is at least terrorizing worlds. So I can buy that they've probably done a bunch of horrible things to other planets, and now we have a main character who has proven to be a victim of that violence.
It's probably more so I actually was thinking about what Genba's backstory could have been, and I was sitting something along the lines of he was somebody who was working as a double agent with the Hashirians, and that's how he was getting stuff. He was ordering it through them, and it would have led them to not trust him if they ever found out. But I mean, I guess this works just as well. I'm not going to harp on it too much until I see it through to the end.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm more interested in the dynamic that this affects with the team going forward more than him being an alien. I mean, it's a subtle thing. It ultimately may not matter too much if he's an alien or not, but
I mean, episode 28 will give you what you're looking for in terms of like how the team dynamics affected.
Yeah, no, and that's what I'm saying. That was what I was more interested in, and
yeah,
oh boy.
And that ending where where Genba says goodbye to everyone. Here's the thing: if you had told me when the early scans of this Sentai came out that this Sentai was going to give a genuinely emotional moment like that and give me this type of plot twist, I would have laughed at you for several hours. But here we are.
I mean,
it's a genuinely emotional.
I'm not gonna spoil anything for Riz because I don't know how far he's gotten into Goanger yet. But Goanger had moments like this too.
Yeah,
when it didn't lead itself. Fair enough. It didn't set us up in a way to think anything dark was going to happen there. But whoo boy.
Yeah, that's fair.
But to one last point, to go off your thing, Nate, about how this compares to Rackless's reveal, I think it's a smidge below it because Rackless's was literally season defining. The entire plot of the season flipped upside down when that reveal happened.
Well, not only that, but we didn't get that reveal until the end. So
it was a part of the final arc.
Simmer, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, it's not quite as good, but it's still like it's an A tier at worst type of Sentai plot twist.
Oh yeah, definitely. I would still call it an S tier plot twist, but I would call
like Takaru and Rackless's are like SS plus.
Yeah.
Because they defined the season. This is a character defining moment, not a season defining moment.
But it's still a huge thing.
And it's still a big deal.
Like honestly, thinking back, I know we're not done with a review yet for Dispatch, but something I have been noticing with our review of this season so far is I can't think of any episode where we gave something lower than a 7 at the worst. And even then, 7s are rare with us on this season.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big thing that I want to kind of bring up because even with the other seasons that we loved, we had our fair share of things where we're like, I can't. This episode is garbage in the grand scheme. Looking at you, tomatoes and whatever. Looking at the entirety of another season that we're not going to talk about.
Zoo Ranger.
Sure, we'll go with that.
I mean, I know that's not the season you're talking about, but I'm not wrong.
No, you're not wrong. That's why I'm saying, sure, we'll go with that as an answer. But even like when we were talking about Shinkenzer, Gokaizer, which are fan favorites for us. There were episodes in those two seasons that we just kind of were like, not a huge fan. So here's a 5, here's a 6, but we haven't really done that here, and I think the quality of writing in this is really strong. Even King Oater, we gave some stuff that we didn't really think were like strong episodes. But here we are.
Boonboomger is doing a really good job of making full use of its time.
Yeah. And I think this reveal, while it's a character development type thing, I think this will have, season defining moments later.
Later, yes.
Yep. I think there's still, to use a Twitch term, let them cook.
And honestly, when I was thinking about this reveal, with this being a planet out in space, and with the Grand Prix that Boone and Taya are setting up for, a part of me feels like we're going to get to a point in this season where they're going to be planet hopping.
Oh yeah, I was going to mention that earlier. Actually, I forgot to mention
because and this is something that they were teasing in an episode here later on. There's a couple of like things on their screen where they're like modifying a vehicle or something, and they were talking about having in the last episode when they were getting ready to deal with the Jonky Honka Honka or whatever the heck it was called. where they mentioned something about we don't have Boon vehicles, our space Boon vehicles finished yet.
Yeah.
So they're going to be going into space at some point in this season and doing some planet hopping stuff. I just know it.
I mean, I think this is something I was going to bring up in the last episode recap, but I think this could be the opening to let them also have some type of crossover event with the King Ozer team.
I was literally about to say that exact thing.
Well, you know what? I beat you to it.
I mean, it does. Yeah, I mean, it all sets up too perfectly, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It sets up way too perfectly.
And that's the thing about these two new Sentais is that they're doing really good at setting up stuff like that to make a stronger story.
So no, this is episode 10.
Yeah, 10 for me too.
10.
Just skip ahead to that. It's a 10.
10.
10.
All right. So
let's move on to Bakuage 28, Switch Off the Light, where most of this is the Boonboomgers coping with the loss of Genba. Mira and Joe actually try to attempt to reason with him, and Sekito even offers to help him with his revenge, but Genba doesn't want to. He refuses their help and just refuses to talk with them. And in this ensuing battle with the latest Hachirion, Joe says, "Well, if Genba is, if Genba's gone, I'm going to give it my all, and I'm going to make up for his absence." Pretty good moment for him. The three Sandseeders, they find a missing piece of Mad Rex. It was lost in his last battle with the Boonboomgers. And Disrace uses it to regenerate Mad Rex into Mad Rex Fury. And Ishiro also meets with Ichiro, Shirobei's superior. We'll find out more about that in the next episode. A big thing to note here is that they're really trying to hammer us with a lot of this angst because starting with this episode, so Genba's still in the credits. He's being credited as a main character, but he's not shown as Boon Orange. And the final shot of the team in the credits omit him as part of the main five. Like, they try to mitigate Boon Orange's appearance in the credits as much as they can. So they're really trying to hammer in this idea that Genba's probably going to be gone for a while, which,
man,
I love that.
I love when the opening credits reflect what's going on in the show. And like even that scene where he's sitting on the roof, with his lollipop, and it shows like his Boonboomger card. He like slumped his head, and they never showed his card, and he looks sad. And it was like,
he looks very upset.
Like the that's such a great.
That's too good.
Detail. Yeah, it's too good. It's too good.
Yeah.
Also, did anybody else face
Go ahead.
palm when they named him Mad Max Fury or Mad Rex Fury? I had to face palm. Like, are you people serious right now?
But yeah, I love it when the opening credits, like what Patrick said, there's only two other times that I can recall that. There was in Cosmic Fury where they were kind of subtly hinting that Ollie is going to be away from the team for a while because he's the only one not smiling in his credits and his suit looks different from the other ones. And then there's something that also happens in Abba Ranger, which I'm not going to spoil anything for Riz and Patrick, but they'll know it when we get to it. But Anthony knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do.
But yeah. But what do we think about this one, guys?
This potential growing rivalry between Genba and Sakito is tense. Because there's their little conversation on top of the roof, and then there's a moment in one of the next episodes where something's bad's going to happen between these two, and I don't like it.
Yeah, for sure. Riz, Anthony, you want to give anything else?
think Patrick covered it pretty well, honestly.
Yeah, it's the tonal shift. Like I said, after that mid-season point that you were talking about, man, what a 180.
Yeah.
But it still injects some lighthearted stuff because the Hashirian scheme of the day is themed after a restaurant, which is pretty funny.
yeah.
And I like Joe's moment in this series, honestly. Like Joe
Oh,
hasn't
dude,
gotten
Joe's
much.
moment was fantastic. Yes.
Yeah, Joe did
Yeah.
really well in this.
Yeah, when he
Yeah,
gets
so I-
when he gets fired up, he gets fired up.
I honestly was expecting Joe to get some kind of power up or something the way he was going.
Yeah, can't he
Man,
get his own little cop themed power up mode? Because that would be perfect.
Like I was expecting maybe like a SWAT mode or something similar to that.
That would be
What-
cool.
or if they gave him like a temporary black orange where he was rocking both colors or something.
But we still have Orange active in the season.
Yeah, I know, and that's why I believe they didn't do it. But how cool would it have been if he was rocking both colors at the same time?
Or like even have like an
Yeah.
accent of it on his shoulder pad.
Oh yeah, like his shoulder pad is orange, but his helmet
Yeah.
and costume's still black, and he's dual wielding axes.
Dude.
That would have been sick.
It would have been very sick. He could have axed him.
Shut up.
But what do we want to give this one out of 10, guys?
I'm gonna go with a 9 for Joe.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna give a 9 for Joe.
Ditto.
All right, let's move on to Bakuage 29, Spy and Family, where Ishiro is hired by the ISA to obtain a key from a wealthy family. It's the same one that tried to force Mira into a marriage in the first episode. And this is a family that is also secretly working with the Hashirians. We learn a little bit more about Ishiro's backstory. He works for the ISA under a different chain of command than Shirabe. And he got assigned to break into Taya's house, but then he got discovered and he was invited to join the Boonboomgers from Taya and Boon, as we saw in a brief flashback in a previous episode. Mad Rex briefly regains his memory while fighting Taya in this episode. He's shocked to hear that Disrace is on Earth, because I forgot to mention the Mad Rex Fury that they've created is basically just one that's like kind of just a mindless servant for Disrace. We only see Genba briefly in this episode. He's only transformed, and we also get some hints that there's a little bit something more sinister going on, because Ishiro gives the key to Ichiro and asks why he was hired to obtain it, and he's not told why. And Naito is the businessman that Taya's friends with. He's talking with Ichiro, and they're talking about how they're supervising the Hashirians, which is kind of a weird thing, but they also suspect that the Hashirians might not be their only enemy. So they're kind of setting the stage for some potential new other greater sinister thing going on, but obviously we're going to have to see what the future of the series holds. But what do we think about this one, guys?
Yeah.
So I just want to say real quick, I love that Mira's family, the family that she's going to marry into, continues to play a focal point in the season throughout. Like we had the former fiance appear a couple episodes ago. Now we got the family kind of appearing again. So I just like that they're planting these seeds from as early as episode 1 to kind of help build this intricate story. And I also like that we're seeing more like of the possible deception that Taya is going to face in the future with his mentor.
Yeah, because in the episode that revealed Disrace at the very end, we saw Taya's mentor meeting with the head of the ISA, and now there's this guy who it all seems like they're working with the Hashirians, because there's a brief scene where those two were talking, and it showed more of those Boonboomger robo killers. Like they're like Taya's mentor's business is building those things, and this is probably just as interesting as the Genba revenge tour subplot that we've got going on now. Where is this going? Why do we have a corrupt corporation being a thing in this season all of a sudden? This is getting really multi-layered, and I'm loving the direction the season is taking all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Because like Riz said, Taya's gonna get betrayed at some point, and it is going to be painful to watch when it happens.
I think he might even know it's coming at this point.
He's definitely suspicious of something. But, oh boy. I don't know where they could take this, but I'm excited to see where it goes.
I think the only issue I'll have with this is that I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to like establish that there's something more sinister at play here, and like, you know, establish that there's, well, like Patrick said, like more layers to the story. But I kind of feel that comes at the cost of this episode's story, like having some better moments. Like we get some more fleshing out of Ichiro's backstory, but it's some pretty basic stuff, and it doesn't really play much to the. I mean, the only part that it plays in the rest of the episode is, Ichiro's being sent on a mission from the ISA because he used to work for the ISA before he became a Boonboomger, and that's it. And not only that, but I was really looking forward to seeing, especially given what happened in a previous episode, how the dynamic between Ishiro and Sekito working together, because they're pretty polar opposite type of characters, so seeing them work together probably would have made for a fun dynamic, and we don't get to see it that much. So I get what this episode's trying to do, and I applaud it for it, but I kind of wish that it didn't come at the expense of not delving more, not giving us an opportunity to delve more into Ishiro's backstory, and not allowing a fun dynamic like Ishiro and Sekito to really play out a little bit more.
Yeah, I'll give you that. This episode definitely seemed a little bit unfocused. And it's probably one of the weaker episodes in the season so far, but I think the foundation and stuff that this episode planted is too important for me to say it's bad.
Agreed. And I mean, I also do like the seeing more to Genesis Isitor and Taya meeting.
Yeah, I agree with that. I just kind of wish that it got, I don't know, the reveal that he used to work for the ISA just seems so nonchalant in this episode. Like, yeah, he used to work for the ISA. Okay, now let's move on to the actual plot of this episode.
Well, okay, so sorry, I was going to say real quick that there's a scene where she asks, "Hey, you used to work for the ISA. How did I not know about this?" And Taya says, "Oh, that was a different chain of command." And I think that line may have implications in a later episode when we're talking about like for lack of a better word, I'm going to call the humans that are helping the Hasurians a mafia family. Like, I think there's mafia infiltration into ISA, and we're going to have to deal with it later on.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
So I think there is some stuff going on with the ISA, but I think they put it in nonchalantly to try and cover some of the later plot points. I think if they spent more time on that connection here, it may not be as suspenseful or big payoff if we, for when it does happen later.
And that does remind me of the episode where Ganonborg had died. Remember, what's her name had gotten the call from saying, "Oh, we know where Cannonborg is." How did they know where Cannonborg was?
Well,
that's an interesting piece too.
He did admit that he's the one who knew, but I'm like, so there's some ties here. The ISA, when they established them like in episode 4 or something, was meant to be like a space watch program. But now we know they got their hands dirty.
Yeah.
They're definitely doing something scummy in the background. But to go back to the point Nate was saying about Ishiro's backstory kind of being nonchalant, the part that bugged me about this episode more than anything else was that they just kind of casually admitted that he still works as a spy. Like, I feel like this should have been noted earlier.
I agree with
they,
that. That's something that also bugged me, and that I think back on it.
Yeah, because like he was told at the very end of the last episode, "I need you to do something." I'm like, okay, well, what is he going to do? And it cuts to this next episode, and he's going full Mission Impossible. I'm like, where did this come from? He's still doing this? Why did you just casually admit this like it wasn't a big deal? I feel like this is a big deal.
It is a big deal. I mean,
yeah, but they just kind of like, oh, he's still doing this. Like, what?
I think they're kind of dropping the ball a little bit now that you guys mentioned that about Ishiro's development. Because Mira and Zoe are pretty well developed, in my opinion, at this point. Taya has amazing development. Sakato's doing pretty awesome, and Genba's got some great stuff going on. We just spent, the last 20 minutes talking about. But Ishiru has a lot of hit and miss stuff going on, like where there's some cool stuff that he's given, but I want more.
He's not going bad so far, though.
No, he's not a bad character at all. He's still a fantastic character. Like, if I were to rate him right now, I know we're going to do it like probably the next 15 minutes when we get through episode 30.
Yeah.
But my initial rating of him right now in the blue world, probably still an A tier blue, but closer to that bottom line of A. Mainly because I feel like there's more we need from him.
Yeah. But aside from the criticisms that I have for this episode, I still want to give it an 8 because when it's good, it's really good. And I can't take away from that. Because, again, the plot of Ishiro being hired by the ISA and them using that plot is kind of like a catalyst to imply that there's some corruption on their part. That's a good way to further the story. But again, like Patrick said, maybe if they established that this whole Ishiro working with the ISA in a previous episode, this would have worked a lot more perfectly. But for what it is, it's good. Just could have been better.
Yeah, the episode wasn't focused, and its direction was kind of all over the place. I don't know if I want to give it a 8 though. I think honestly, because it trips over itself too much, I want to give it a 7 at the highest.
That's fair.
I am with Patrick on that, but I also want to retain some of the points that I give this episode for tying together Mira's former fiance family into this thing. And so that would bring it to like a 7.5 or something. Which probably marks the first time I give an episode less than an 8 from what I can recall.
I'm giving it an 8 just because I like the stuff between him and Sakito, but that's just me.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right, let's wrap up with the last episode of this batch, Bakuage 30, The Rampage is Mine. Most of this episode is about the Sand-Seeders, the 3 Deco trade, Itasha and Yarukar. They're trying to restore Mad Rex's lost memories, and he actually does partially regain his memory at the end of this episode when he's fighting Taya and he sees Boonboomger Robo, although it's not revealed to those 3 yet. It's so he's probably going to regain his memory pretty soon, but we got a few more episodes before we get some very serious villain drama. but mostly just a setup. What do we think about this one, guys?
I don't know. I think he has his memories now, because when he set up in his like guard spot at the end of the episode, he was looking around and paying attention to those three. I think he's just playing up an act until he can get D-Race where he wants him. But
that's fair.
This is the kind of episode I was talking about last time, where these three could do something. I love that they finally established that what their backstory was before this. They were like rejects, and then Mad Rex like recruited them, and they actually looked up to him as like, you guys, you saved our lives essentially, and they're loyal to him. This is the kind of episode I was wanting out of these three. And how they like took him out and were trying to like snap him out of it and everything. This I've been waiting for an episode like this for these three, and it worked great. Like, this was genuinely a good episode.
It was an amazing episode.
Yeah.
And I just gotta say, so I was watching episode 30 earlier today, and I looked down to take a phone call, and I look back up, and I see, is his name, I think his name is Itasa, and he was turning into Boon Blue, and I was like, wait, what? Did I look away for that long?
Riz, I think Itasha is the female one.
Oops.
Deco Trade.
Deco Trade is the one that became blue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I love... can we just talk about how these three carry around these horrible Boonboomger Halloween costume masks everywhere they go for just no reason? And wear them constantly.
Yeah, that's like on par with how... like, remember in Kyoryuger when Candelila and... what's that? Luckiro? Yeah, that was his name. Remember every time the Kyoryugers would like do the dance when they transform, and those two would actually do the dance with them? That's on par with that type of stuff.
I forgot they did that, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this episode was needed because these three have been so prominent, and I said last time that it felt like that they didn't want to work for the Hashirions, and it wasn't that, it's that they didn't want to work for Cannonboard, because that's not who they looked up to and respected. And now that the person that they looked up to and respected is back, yeah, we're going to get some villain inner dynamic turmoil stuff, and let's go. Bring it. I'm ready for it.
Yep.
Yeah, I really did like the three seaters. They were like really good in this episode. They were giving me like how Joe was trying to, like, it was amped up in the episode previous, like 2 episodes ago. This is how it's like they were doing their Joe moment in this episode.
Yeah, definitely. And these are probably this might be a bit more common than I think, but like these are clearly meant to be kind of like, I don't know, Sentai has done this Three Stooges type of villains in the past. Like they did it in Die Ranger really badly. They did it in Go Onger, and it works okay in it works decently in Go Onger, but I feel like these three are definitely on a better level as far as like the Three Stooges villains, where yeah, they're bad guys and they do evil things, but they're also characters in their own right, and in some ways you feel some sympathy for them.
Wait, what did you say about Die Ranger? These three were like Three Stooges villains?
No, you remember those three monsters? One was a tombstone, one was a motorcycle, and I think the third one was a
dang it. Yeah, I remember them.
Yeah, I think the other one was a telephone monster. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why that's how bad these villains are. See how frustrated Patrick is and how he forgot about them? That's how bad those villains are.
Yeah,
that's Can I forget about other Sentai moments or like whole seasons?
I mean,
that'd be nice.
Boy.
And if you want to know how bad those villains are, of those three monster suits, only one of them was used in Power Rangers. They used that tombstone monster for that Zed's Monster Mash episode, but they didn't use the motorcycle monster and they didn't use the telephone monster in Mighty Morphin Season 2.
Boy,
So that's how little of an impact those monsters have.
when we eventually get to Dire Ranger, man, it's going to be a bloodbath.
Oh yeah.
And we're going to have to brace ourselves because here's the thing. I think people will let us trash G-Ranger and Geki Ranger, but people like Die Ranger, so we're going to have to brace ourselves.
I don't care.
That.
I will
Too
fight.
bad.
I will
They'll be
fight.
all right.
I will fight 100 people to keep my opinion that Die Ranger sucks.
I'm right there with you, buddy.
I have no opinion because I haven't seen Die Ranger yet.
Oh, trust me, you'll be fighting alongside us. I from how much I know, what I know of how you judge seasons, you're gonna hate it just like me. And I look forward to watching it so I can see you rip it apart.
Because I'll do a better job than you of ripping it apart.
Wait until we get to the ending. Nate already knows, but when we get to the ending, man, you're gonna have to restrain me.
Yeah, I don't hate it as much as Patrick does, but I get it 100%.
But as for this episode, 9.
Yeah.
Just 9.
Yeah, it's 9 for me too.
Yeah.
9.
Yeah, it's a good villain episode. Like, villain episodes tend to be kind of hit and miss, but this is definitely a hit. Just with the development, because I don't know, when I first saw these characters, I didn't think they were going to get much development, but here we are giving them a backstory, and it's simple stuff, but it works.
I mean, I said it last time. I thought there was like little hints and stuff here that there was going to be more to them. I was just waiting for it to finally happen, and now I'm excited to see where this goes.
But yeah, we don't have to talk about the villain analysis here. Do we want to give our updated rankings and any other minor things we want to talk about with our 6 Boonboomgers?
I mean, I think we should talk about the villain analysis for a second, though.
Okay, yeah, fair.
Because this race was a very interesting addition to the villain cast, and will have a much bigger impact in the next batch, probably, or the batch after, or something. So that's what we're talking about.
And Mad Rex being back, he's clearly going to play a role going forward again.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's nice that he's back, because remember in the beginning, we're all mad that he was gone?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we were.
Mad Rex.
We didn't like that, because we wanted him around to continue the rivalry, and look, the rivalry's back.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think the villains are stepping up their game, and I also think that the villain cast being expanded to have humans also in the mix is going to be very interesting. So I think, we need to talk about these villains, because there's a lot that happened in these last couple of episodes that warrant these villains having a much more interesting role than other Sentais have had with their villains in the past, beyond here's this vague alien race here to conquer Earth.
Yeah, and it's as much as Dog Dead in the previous season was a much bigger threat level, these villains are probably much more interesting than any of the villains that we got in King Oger. Still love that Sentai, and obviously, yes, those villains are a much bigger threat level compared to a space mafia, but these are more interesting characters, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But do we want to give updates on how we feel about each of our Boonboomgers?
Yeah, we can.
Jeez, where do we start?
Guard.
Okay, so here are the things that I can say really easily. Taya, Mira, Genba are all S tier characters.
I agree.
Isuru is an A tier. Zoe, I think Zoe is starting to earn his way into S tier, but I think we need just a smidge more of Zoe to get him there, So he's high A, low S for me. Sakito is the one I do want to park at for a bit longer and talk about, because the question I'm going to pose to you guys is, at this point, we're 30 episodes in, and we've seen Sakito for about roughly 10 episodes.
Yeah.
Where would you guys put him in your top 6 Ranger list?
He might be in my top 10, but he has to do a little bit more to earn his way into the top 5. Like, I would still say, based on his backstory, and not only that, but the way that his dynamic works with the team, where he kind of likes them, but he's also just going around kind of doing his own little hitman type of thing, like, like what Deadpool does in the
Yeah.
Marvel universe. That earns him at least an A tier, but he has to. And thankfully, we still have a little bit less than half of the series, but still a good number of episodes to explore this dynamic with. There has to do a little bit more work for him to earn his way into S tier, but just based on his backstory and how the dynamic works, I would say that he has a floor of low A tier for me, but we still have a lot to see with him before I can give a final judgment.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was leaning to, was that he's pretty good, but he's not like Jeremy good or Hugo good.
His opening arc was great, but he's kind of stagnated since then. And yeah, like what Riz said, Jeremy and Hyuga are kind of like the standard, at least for me, when it comes to Sentai 6.
Yeah.
I don't think he's had the impact on the team like Genta had. So that might make him fall behind Genta a little bit. And I'm even debating, I'm probably putting him on par with the Go on Wings, maybe even a little bit below them, because the Go on Wings had a massive impact on the dynamic of the Go Ongers.
Yeah, and I think the thing that I would have loved to see in Sakito do, I know we liked that he joined up and he
it was too fast.
Hey, exactly.
Yeah. When he got introduced, and this was something I think I said during the arc when he appeared, was that I was hoping he was going to be a faction.
He needed to be.
And yeah, he needed to be, and he ended up joining the team way too quick. Now that you kind of like set it up for me, Riz, yeah. I really would have preferred him being a Rebel Ranger longer.
He's fallen into comic relief in a way, and I don't like it.
Yeah, he does feel more like he's a part of the team, but he's just doing his own stuff, and he gets into his own routine and everything. Like, I don't know, he feels like he's suffering from what one of my friends called the Sixth Ranger syndrome, where he makes a big impact when he shows up, and then he just kind of blends in with the rest of them after a while. And that's the thing that made Jeremy and Hyuga stand out so much, is that they still felt different from the rest of the team, even after they were introduced. And I think that's the thing that really makes Sixth Rangers stand out, like Titanium and Quantum, if we want to add Power Rangers into the mix. They still felt unique compared to the rest of the team well after being established. And Sakito he doesn't have that feel to him anymore.
Yeah. And one minor note, going back to episode 30 real quick. Do y'all remember the scene where Sakito says that they picked up the request on their Bakuage channel or whatever? Yeah. And that spurred Mira, Isuru, and Zoe running off to go find Taya. Where the heck did Sakito go? Why didn't he go with them? And it's stuff like that. Like, he appeared and told Genba, hey, don't get involved in the fight between Taya and Madrex. But Sakito could have done something different there. He could have been more involved, or been off doing something more interesting, and we could have seen that on screen, but we didn't. So it's stuff like that has been making me feel like Sakito is sadly losing stocks, because when I first saw him, I thought he would be kind of fighting for a top role, but he's kind of fizzled out, and I don't know. I don't think he can recover from it, honestly, at this point. Not unless something big happens. But if he continues the trend he's on right now, he's not going to recover from that. And I think Patrick is being a little bit nicer than I would be about it, because I think he's more of a B tier.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, I don't. I think the bigger issue, honestly, now that I hear Patrick kind of say it, I kind of agree. Like, his dynamic with the team is kind of confusing, where he's kind of part of the main team, but then on the other hand, he's kind of out doing his own thing. Now, I don't think it's as bad or as confusing as some other Six Rangers. Like, I would probably say that Gao Silver's dynamic with and Gao Silver's dynamic is pretty much similar to is pretty much the same thing as what the Lunar Wolf Ranger was in Wild Force. That dynamic didn't make any sense. Like, oh, he's a lone wolf, but he's friends with the Rangers, but he's also a lone wolf, going back and forth. And then there's King Ranger's dynamic with O Ranger, which makes absolutely no sense. But
oh boy. That's a mess of a character right there.
But yeah, I don't think it's quite as I don't think he's quite as a mess of King Ranger as Gao and Gao Silver, but he's just barely ahead of them. Like, I kind of get what they're trying to do with them, which is more than I can say for those two Six Rangers. And to be fair, I still have to see what the dynamic is for the Six Rangers I haven't seen, like like that Ho-Oh soldier from Q Ranger, that gold silver hybrid dude from Lupin versus Pad, and basically everything between Juo the World and Spider Kimonos. But yeah, I mean, I honestly, I just kind of wish that they would just get straight up, just kind of go the route where he's just kind of like what Time Fire was, where he acts separately, maybe not be as much of a jerk as Naoto was, but
I mean, now that I'm sitting here and thinking about it, and I did the comparisons we've made between the season and Go-Onger have been numerous, but it really feels like he was a poorly done Go-On-Wings.
Yeah, for sure.
Because the Go-On-Wings had the same kind of dynamic where they were independent for a while, and there was a lot of butting heads between them and specifically Go-On-Red. And it eased out over time. This felt like they buddied up way too fast, and they wanted to keep the essence of him being aloof while he was on good terms with the team, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So,
But I don't know. Maybe he can redeem himself. But honestly, the more I think about it, I'm kind of siding with Riz. Maybe it's just because I really want to like him because of the established backstory that's making me rank him a little bit higher. But the more I think about it, I might sympathize with Riz a little and say that he's B tier.
yeah.
But I'll disagree with Riz. Go ahead, Anthony.
I was just gonna say that, like, I don't know, I still like him. He still, is likable to me. Like I said, I'm not really that. I don't really focus on like characters this deeply as much as you guys do. I'm kind of just along for the ride. I just kind of just want to see where things go.
I mean, I'm not saying he's a bad character. It's just that his dynamic with the team is just, it doesn't feel as well thought out as it could be.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the simplistic, I guess, way to describe our argument is, because it feels like they're trying to have their cake and eat it too with what they want out of him, and it's not working as well as it could. Now, like like you were saying, they can salvage it. That's why I'm not like really harping on it too much, because we've seen parts of Sentai seasons rebound at the end. So we'll see where it goes, but
But Riz, I'll disagree with you slightly on what you said about Joe. I think that Joe is an S tier character in the same way that like you could say honestly, okay, not the perfect comparison, but in the same way that like you think Shion is an S tier character from Time Ranger, I would still say that Joe is. Like maybe he's not getting a lot of focus, but he's a wholesome good guy and he gives off good vibes whenever he's around, and he's just an easy guy to get behind. And I think that's just all that we need with Joe, in all honesty, especially given how, Kaguragi, still a great character, but Kaguragi didn't really start to shine as a Black Ranger until like the tail end of the series.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten the type of guy that Joe is literally from the starting gate of the series, and I'm behind the guy 100%.
Yeah, but unlike Shion, he's actually getting episodes. And I think that makes him a better character by comparison. But yeah, it's the same kind of dynamic. It's weird how we've had two Black Rangers kind of fill that same role where there's clearly stuff there, but they're not digging into it as much as we would like.
Yeah. But, I mean, again, I'm never going to say he's the best Black Sentai Ranger of all time because there's one guy who has an iron grip on that title, and he's never going to let it go. And everybody knows who I'm talking about there.
Of
but
course.
He's top 5, in my opinion.
At this point, I would probably put him maybe slightly below, like, Jiraiya, probably.
Yeah, Jiraiya, Ninja Black, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and Mega Black, I think, would both be above him.
Yeah, we'd have to revisit Mega Ranger. Not to say that I didn't like Mega Black. I just need to revisit to be reminded a little bit more about him.
Yeah.
But yeah, does anybody want to? I mean, we all agreed, with the other 4. Like Ishiro still needs some fleshing out, and Taya, Genba, and Mira are still awesome characters.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Did you want to add anything? Go ahead.
Genba's probably number 2 right now, given the revelation, and there's a chance he might actually end up being my favorite Boonboomger up to this point right now, which is saying a lot, given how we've been
rising.
Huh?
And his stocks are rising.
Oh. And it's not like he has much competition. Well, Best Orange Ranger. Well, who is he competing against? It's a couple characters I've never heard anybody talk anything about. So,
but if we were to put him in technically he's in the slot of, I guess, if we're
Black and Green Ranger.
Now, I think if we were going to go by the logic of who would transform into him if the Gokaigers were doing a Gokai change, I think he would fit the slot of the Yellow Ranger. Because Marvelous would do Taya, Joe, Ishiro, Don, Joe, Guy, Sakito, and I am Mira.
Yeah.
So that only leaves Genba for Luca to transform into.
Yeah.
But if we're going to go with that Yellow Ranger dynamic, I mean, this guy is probably on Domon's level.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Better than Domon.
My boy Domon is the only guy I can think of that would be of competition.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You want to add anything, Riz?
I think I said my piece. I'm going to hold off on doing my character rankings until a later podcast so we have more to go off of.
Yeah.
We could probably wait until we've done at least, I don't know, maybe we could wait until the next batch, or maybe one other batch when we've kind of covered mostly a 3/4 of the series.
That's what I'm thinking, because right now I can't really say, where I'd put people in terms of everything, because I still want to see more,
Yeah.
But okay then. Well, guys, that wraps up our latest Boonboomger podcast. We are officially caught up. Technically, Bakuage 31 has been released, but we're waiting for it to be released with the official subtitles. So, yeah, we are officially caught up, which means that now we can move on to our next Sentai that we're going to be covering on the side, which will be Engine Sentai Boonboomger. We'll be taking a look at the first Grand Prix. That's the name of those of that season's episodes. We'll be taking a look at their first 5 in the next podcast, and we will try to cover Boonboomger once Bakuage 35 has come out, maybe a little bit more depending on how that episode ends. We'll just have to wait and see. We got a little bit of time. But yeah, we are officially caught up. We are definitely liking Boonboomger. But now we have an opportunity to take a look at another really great lighthearted car-themed Sentai. We're all looking forward to it. Anthony, Patrick, and I are all big fans of it, and it'll be Riz's first time visiting the thing. So we are definitely looking forward to that, and we will see you guys next time when we take a look at Engine Sentai Boonboomger. But until then, bye for now. If you enjoyed listening to the Toku Secrets podcast, please check us out at animesecrets.org and follow us on all our social media pages such as Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And also feel free to check out our other podcasts, including Anime Declassified and the Jedi Squadron. You can also leave us any feedback you'd like to offer us directly on our website. If you're listening to this on Spotify or iTunes, we thank you so much, and please leave us a rating out of 5 stars. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel if you're not already subscribed, and leave any comments down below, as we love to take the time to read comments left on our channel and give our fans, shout-outs. If you have any seasons of Super Sentai, Power Rangers, or other tokusatsu shows that you'd like for us to check out, please don't hesitate to say so in your feedback. With all that said, we thank you so much for taking the time to listen to our podcast, and we will see you next time as we continue our never-ending journey through the world of tokusatsu. But until that time, you all stay safe, we love you, and may the power protect you.